What's up, you guys? Welcome back. Let's talk some trades for our teams this week. And actually, the People Squad are going to be holding steady and not making any trades. And that's to do with a few factors here. We didn't really have too many players that we were looking at trading out. We also are holding 12 players playing this week, which is pretty good. I feel like it's pretty much on the money, and we'll cover a little chat about the types of players in terms of what type of score they're going to get, maybe a bit of a projected score line for our team this week, and why we didn't make any trades. So sitting up top with Brails is obviously we're keeping him. He's was potentially a captaincy option. The team has decided to go with Nico Hines and no trades this week. So Papali'i, Watson, and Flegs in our mids, and that's going to give us a pretty solid return there. Pango Jr., another gun that's going to give us a solid return. We are playing Moses and Gamble in our halves, which will be okay. Gamble's one of those guys that we're hoping for like a 30, which would be nice. Just to add to the totals there. Two guns in Peachy and Olam, with obviously Olam having a bit of a struggling time at the moment. But I personally think the Storm will win pretty comfortably, and hopefully he can do well this week with a lot of their guys out. Maybe he has to step up a little bit more. Let's hope so anyway. So Peachy and Olam, Hines and Dane Laurie at our wing fullback spot, and then just Spencer on the interchange. And now we'll focus on a couple of guys that that aren't playing this week, and would we trade them or not? And for Feeder, I think we're just holding him for the rest of the year. There's no point holding him this far and then moving him on now. Hopefully he comes back and returns and plays in 14. That would be ideal. But if he doesn't, I suppose we kind of expected it at the same time. But we're going to hold steady. He's clearly the best edge in the game at the moment, at price at 915k. So our second highest priced player in the game. So that's that there. Trbojevic we're holding again. Might have a random game or two where he gets rested as well, but clearly the best wing fullback in the game currently playing, currently scoring with Pat being out. So Tommy has to stay, especially at this stage when we're sitting with 17 trades. I think you've got to keep these guys and hold steady. Reece Walsh is turning into a gun very quickly, and he might be out for around 14, but we also have to say that priced at 540k, that's way better than what he's averaging, way better than a 40 average. So we've got to hold him. We've got to hold Teddy for sure. I think at this price it'd be silly to trade him out. If he was about 800k, it could be like, oh well, he's probably going to miss a couple of games here and there. But at 600k, people are going to be wanting to pick him up after this first Origin, I reckon, with him only possibly missing one more game in 17. So got to hold him steady. With Schuster, I think having him as a 52-point scorer who's going to play 17. Remember how many guys we're going to have in 17. Right now this team has Walsh, Schuster, Harris, and Averillo. Only 4 players available for 17. So we've got to keep Schuster until round 18. I think would be smartest. Toyo Harris is the gun, the second best middle / edge at the moment, especially price wise. Cleary we're not trading. Crichton will be back in round 14. We're not trading him, and then Averillo is like the best center at the moment. So there's really no need to make any trades this week. And that's kind of how you got to look at your team. It's like, is this guy going to serve a purpose as pretty close to a keeper? Are they making you money? And if they aren't serving any of those purposes, then you should trade them out this week. I think that's the smartest thing, the smartest idea to do, unless you're sitting there with very minimal trades, like a 12 trades or 13 trades or something like that. Then that's the way to go. The guys that are sitting there on like 250, 300k that aren't really doing much for you, they're kind of just an extra number for this week, or maybe they can be an extra number in 17. And there's no point trading them out and doing a sideways trade just for this week. I think that would be the smartest idea. So that's the People Squad at the moment. I moved to my team and just making one trade for the week, so getting me down to 17 trades, and that's just trading out Starling. So I'm just going to put it down to it being a mistake or a little bit unlucky, or however we want to play it. It's a mistake. Let's move on. Starling straight to Jack Bird. He's someone that I've really wanted to have in my squad. I keep telling everyone to get him in theirs. Averaging 41 and should be averaging higher than that, based on the majority of his scores since he's been back playing properly and feeling confident and strong. And he moves to the second row this week, which I think is only more beneficial, if not just as good. So he comes in. It gives me cover in the center position. I now have Oppa, Bird, and Joey Manu. So if any of those guys happen to miss a week, I don't have to make a trade for the centers. That's kind of my thoughts there. And this actually gives me 14 players. So not a complete overload where it's 15, 16, 17, and I've got no players for 17. At this stage, I currently have 5 playing in round 17. So Reece Walsh, Roger, Schuster, Joey Manu, and Harris with 5. So I'm pretty happy with that. And with 17 trades, if I can use 7 trades over the next bunch of weeks, and that it's giving 7 to 8 to 9 trades, even if I leave myself with 8 or 9 to 10 after round 17 to build my finishing gun 17. I think that would be ideal. And doing it around those 5 players, I think is going to be a smart idea. Making those trades is what I was going to say is there's going to be suspensions, there's going to be injuries. I might end up with 10 to 12 in round 17. I think that's going to be completely fine without really damaging the amount of keepers I have in my side. So in terms of my team here, we got, I said, 14 playing this week, which should see me improve my ranking. So 1,400, I'd be expecting with this type of team that I'm going to go through, if they all play close to what I'm expecting them to, then I should see myself move into the top 1,000, I think, this week. And that's kind of the benefit of having some extra players and having some extra trades is that you can trade or trade fairly hard this week if you needed to. I obviously didn't need to with all my fringe guys making it back into the team and Lucy getting off his suspension, things like that. Obviously helped me out, but the majority of people who have set themselves up well for the buys will be able to benefit from that. So Brayley, Papali'i, Watson, and Stefano. So Stefano should play a fairly normal role and get 30 to 40 points this week. We've got Lucy and Madison, who you'd say a cumulative score should be around 100 between the two of them, similar to what they did last week. Obviously, you'd hope for Maddo to play a little bit better this week and Lucy maybe down in the 50 somewhere. Sitting with Fogs, and you should hope that he gets somewhere in the 50s. They're obviously playing Melbourne. Yeah, so that might be a slightly tough game for him, but with all the Melbourne players out, you think he should be able to do okay enough. Opacek and Bird, you'd be hoping for an average of 75 to 80 between the two of them, so around a 40 average, what they're both averaging. Then you got Laurie, Dewey, and Hines. So I think that's a really solid wing fullback system for this week. And then Spencer starting should get some decent minutes, which should mean some decent points with his amazing PPM. And Alvaro somewhere in the mid-30s. So I think the team's looking pretty solid this week to get a really nice score and hopefully get into the top 1,000. If I don't get into the top 1,000 this week, I'll be pretty... I think it was a pretty bad week, let's say that. I'd be pretty surprised for sure if that didn't happen. I think a lot of people I'm seeing have 10, 11, 12, 13. So anything 14 and above is going to be a big win this week for sure. But just making sure that you're not really putting yourself out for round 17. If you have a lot of Origin players, then that could be a little bit of an issue. But if you don't, like myself, obviously got rid of Pap and Fafita, I will have to get them in back in the back end of the year, but it's going to help me through this period. So if I save enough trades, then I'll be able to get to those guys. So that's that there, and then we move on to the alternates. And it was a bit of a tough one this week as to what I should do with sitting there with 13 players. I had Kurt Mann, who's coming off the bench, and I'm like, is he going to be a keeper long term? Probably not. That was a little bit unlucky, but also slightly a mistake. What I've actually decided to do is make 2 trades, and I have brought Albert Kelly in. I just think he's going to get a little bit of a run in this side, and I think I'll try and move him on around round 17 or 18 when he's made 100 or 150k and scored somewhere around 35 to a 40 average is what we'd be hoping. You're also hoping that that they doesn't have like a 3 or whatever the Gamble got. So I've got Kelly and Gamble in this team. I think making that decision, I'm just going for it really. I had 20 trades at the start of the week, so I decided to use 2. So still sitting in 8 with 18 after this week, and that allowed me to go Kurt Mann to Jerome Hughes, and it'll be nice to see him in the squad. I don't have Nico Hines in this team, so it'll be good to see one of the Storm players at least doing well for this team. But we sit with 14 players coming into this week, and the guys that we're holding are Averillo, Crichton, Schuster, and Fafita, which is really solid, and just Simkin there, who's just going to sit there doing nothing, unfortunately. But to have a team with Gamble, Kelly as sort of your lower scorers, with Spencer, and also that's about it really. So as your low scorers, and then you've got McCulloch in there, Brayley, Watson, Twal, Papali'i as captain at the moment. I'm going for that one. Hopefully, you can get a really big score. Pangai Jr., Moses and Hughes is a really nice halves combo. Bird and Peachy is a good center combo, and then just Dane Laurie down the bottom. So it would be nice for To'o to be playing, but unfortunately he made the Origin team. But good work for him. But that's about it, guys. I think the team obviously needs some work. I was thinking about, do I just go nuts and make all these trades and get like 16, 17 players playing this week and make a big run for it? But I still think 14 will be enough. Leaves me with 18 trades to really trade hard over this next period. I think that's going to be the goal. Trade really hard over this, get a good round 17 team together, and then see what happens, and just trade heavy and try and get through the rest of the year and try and get into the top 5K will be the goal from where we're at now at 18,890. Plenty of work to do. Hopefully can eventually get Cleary back into the team. Well, he was never in the team, but to get Cleary into the team at some point. if there's an injury to one of these guys, or hopefully Cleary for this team, not for everyone else's team and my own team, but hopefully Cleary gets rested in a game or two, which will help this team get back into the money there. So, 1.2 million is going to take a lot to get him back into the side. And targeting Tohu Harris next week, we've got Reece Walsh to target. We have, they're the kind of guys that target Tom Trbojevic, these types of guys. So that's the teams at the moment, guys. I hope you got a lot out of this. It helps you when thinking about your side and kind of the makeup of your team and what you need for round 13 and 17. And we'll catch you in the next one, team. Please like and subscribe. We'll catch you then. Bye, guys.